Washington, D.C. to protest the legalization of abortion in the United States of America. We were there to hear their message, document it, and to bring it to those that will listen.
So, I remember the first thing that I had to do was to fundraise for the trip to go down to Washington, D.C. for the protest. It wasn't, too hard of a task to do, but then again, it wasn't that easy. It was just, just something that had to be done. I think overall, I fundraised about $600, I believe. For the first time I went, and it was $200 for the ticket. So we did that. We had some generous families that donated some money to us. This is, from going from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Washington, D.C. And back. And luckily I didn't have to pay for a hotel or anything like that because I had a relative down there, which I stayed at her house while I was there. But the other, I think it was like $300, was to check out a camera, which I believe was a GL1. There's a GL2, GL1. Check up on that. So I had my camera and that camera, and I would basically, what I would do is I would, switch whenever I got done using one. Basically the battery ran out or something, I went and used my camera, which I had about 4 hours of life, battery life on that, and the other one had about the same.
Thousands rallied down on the National Mall today, then marched to the High Court to demand a ban on the procedure. Today's marchers say they're confident Supreme Court nominee Sam Alito will eventually rule against Roe v. Wade.
I have never seen so much love and support for the unborn child as I have here today. The majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to choose, and that we know the confirmation of Samuel Alito's Supreme Court will be detrimental to women for decades to come, ages, or generations to come.
President Bush spoke to the crowd by phone. He predicted the anti-abortion movement will.
A lot of them are coming from the MCI Rally for Life downtown, and incidentally, this is the first time they've had to turn people away from that mass. There were so many people, they were breaking down the doors to get in.
Now, if I remember correctly, there was this one group that they were called YTM, which stands for Youth for the Third Millennium. And I met with them, I think it was somewhere in Maryland, but I'm not sure. I don't remember too clearly. So I met with them a couple of days before the march started, and they did some. There were, I guess you could, like a Catholic group, I suppose. And I think they were all mainly from Massachusetts. I was the only one from Oklahoma. And I don't think they've ever had anybody from Oklahoma before me. Yeah, they did some activities beforehand. They went to like an abortion clinic, and they just protested outside the clinic. They went to mass. And then afterwards, some people got on stage to share their experience.
even though I've been in this youth group now for about 3 years, yesterday was actually the very first time that I was able to go to a prayer vigil outside of a local abortion clinic that we have here. And honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what kinds of things would happen. And even my own father, who thought the event would be politically charged, he actually advised me against going to the event. So naturally, because my parents said no, I went anyways. You know. Because for me, no matter what kind of person I face, abortion is one thing that I'm always going to be totally against. And if there's always going to be an opportunity for me to fight abortion, I'm there. I'm totally there. So, we got there to the clinic, and I was actually surprised at how peaceful it was. Like, I mean, okay, like I wasn't expecting like violence or bombs or anything like that, but I mean, we were all just like walking back and forth, and we were praying the rosary, and it was so awesome to see so many people united for one cause. And I mean, we got a lot of different reactions. We got bad ones, people yelled out of their window. We got good ones. People gave us thumbs up, they honked their horns and all of that, and we're like, hey, maybe there's hope. Because for me, that was what it was like, because I think we got more good reactions than bad reactions, and maybe this is actually something that is worth fighting for. And I'm really excited for tomorrow, because it's a larger group, and we're all going to stand united, and we're all going to be fighting this cause, because we will be the voice for all the infants that have no voice, and we are the future generations, and we're going to be the ones responsible for hopefully ending abortion in this nation, and who knows, in the whole world.
Feminist abortionists should listen to women.
Yeah, well,
they are not representing any of us women. Feminist abortionists do not represent women in America. They are hurting women.
Bless all who participate in this March for Life.
They had these, they'd meet up, and then there was a priest, or I guess he might have not been a priest yet, a brother, I suppose. He came and had a talk with the group.
To get to the point where we are now, getting finally a Supreme Court judge or judges who are open to overturning this heinous decision that's been in place for over 30 years. Right? So it's a little sacrifice that a lot of people have made over a long period of time that's brought us to this point. I think you can translate that whole lesson to your Christian life. A lot of you guys, you're going to a Catholic school, you've been around priests for a long time, and maybe legionaries for a long time. And the idea there is not that you just soak it in, that you become a passive recipient of all these graces. It's so you actively apply them to your life, so you live a good Christian life, an ordered Christian life. And that's something that requires hard work.
So something I did remember, I remember sleeping at a church on the ground somewhere up in Maryland. We spent a night on the floor, like in the basement. I remember the next morning, I think they were making lunches for the marchers from different groups, like Pennsylvania and like Ohio, different places. So it was pretty cool. They were all helping out each other and supporting each other. So that was one experience. Preparing for the march or beforehand. And I think most people do it that way anyways. They go in a group, like in a family or like some kind of association or student group in colleges. I went by myself. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't really know of any groups or anything like that, so